Hurry up and give me $1,000,000. Otherwise, Ryan's gonna dump me.
I sigh at my sister-in-law, fuming with rage, her face flushed red, standing at the front door. While I was pondering what to do, my husband appeared from behind and gently slapped my sister-in-law's cheek.
Wake up, Katie.
My name is Emma. I've been with my husband, Tom, since our college days, and we got married right after graduation. Since I was a child, I wanted to become a comic book artist, spending most of my college days on comics. I drew at home, during free periods at college, constantly working on comics to submit for newcomer awards. Because of such a life, I made no friends during my college years. The only one who took an interest in me was Tom, an oddball who approached me while I was drawing comics on my tablet at a college bench, asking, "What are you doing?" Tom really praised my comics and stayed by my side all the time. After we got married, I found out that Tom had liked me long before he first spoke to me. Like the cheeky person he is, Tom explained that he fell for me like a bolt of lightning the moment he saw me. In other words, it was love at first sight for him. I got along well with my in-laws, so I had no major concerns about getting married. Just a few small worries. I've always been concerned about my sister-in-law Katie's attitude towards me. Even before we got married, Katie is 1 year younger than Tom. The age difference was negligible, and I wanted to be good friends. But Katie was very cold to me at first. When Katie found out I aspired to be a comic book artist, she bluntly said, "That dream will never come true." I was used to having my dreams dismissed, so it didn't bother me. But feeling something like jealousy from Katie, I talked to Tom about it. Katie's attitude towards me is kind of weird, isn't it?
Katie wanted to become an illustrator. She wanted to go to art school, but our parents were against it, so it might be hard for her to see you pursuing your dreams.
Both of Tom's parents are school teachers. They have a strong philosophy on education, so they probably wanted Katie to pursue a more practical job. That's why Katie is going to college to become a nurse, which made sense to me. I brought my tablet and continued drawing comics even on stay-at-home dates and walks in the park with Tom. Katie's attitude remained cold, but I kept drawing without letting it bother me. And then, I managed to make my professional debut while still in college. While Tom was busy with job hunting, I was swamped with my weekly series. I even hired an assistant to help with various tasks. And I wrote my thesis to graduate from college. In the midst of my busy days, wishing there were more than 24 hours in a day, I had almost forgotten about Katie's cold attitude towards me. By the time I got used to my job and finally settled down, Tom had also gotten used to his life as a new member of the workforce and settled down. Since both of us had settled down, Tom and I happily got married. Both sets of parents seemed to have been anxious about us not getting married sooner, and they were relieved and happy that we finally did. Katie alone seemed to have a sulky expression all the time. A few months after we got married, Katie invited me out for tea. I was surprised to get an invitation from Katie, but I immediately said yes. I had always wanted to get along with Katie. Katie graduated from college and became a nurse. I had heard that the medical profession is tough, and I thought it would be good to listen to her vent if she needed to. But when I arrived at the cafe we agreed on, Katie was waiting with a grim expression. Katie ordered a parfait and a cake. I just ordered a coffee, thinking we'd make small talk, when Katie suddenly blurted out,
"Hey, Emma, you're rich, aren't you?
"Huh?
I know your comics are selling like crazy. They're heavily promoted in bookstores, and there's even a TV series coming up, right?"
As Katie said, I had become what you could call a best-selling comic book artist in the public eye. Meeting up and being immediately talked to about money gave me a bad feeling. which turned out to be right. Katie reached out her hand to me.
Lend me some money. Whatever you can spare is fine.
I can't do that. I have a policy against lending or borrowing money.
Why not? You're rich. It should be no problem. Even my brother works at a well-known company, so you could lend me a little.
Katie, looking frustrated, glared at me sharply. Her gloomy, dark eyes seemed to be looking not at me, but only at my money.
Lend me some money. You must have around $10,000 to spare, right?
I won't lend it. This is non-negotiable. Money exchanges between relatives can never turn out well. When I firmly refused, Katie sighed and stood up.
Fine then. I don't want to have to deal with a miserly old lady anyway. I'm leaving.
Katie left before the parfait and cake even arrived, and all I could do was watch her go, dumbfounded. After eating the parfait and cake that arrived later, my stomach was stuffed, carrying my heavy stomach home. That night, I talked to Tom about Katie asking me for money.
She seems to be having money troubles recently, even though she should be working steadily as a nurse. I wonder why.
Katie had apparently asked her parents for money as well. The strict in-laws, of course, did not lend Katie any money. But instead, she was said to be working on something on her computer late into the night. Katie seems to be juggling a side job while working as a nurse, spending her days with barely any sleep. Even when her parents express their concern, Katie is always irritated and unapproachable, it seems.
Well, even if something is up with Katie, it has nothing to do with you, Emma. If she contacts you again, you can just ignore it. I'll talk to my mom and dad about it.
Yeah, thank you. Katie's eyes looked dark and murky at the cafe, and she was wearing a long-sleeved cardigan despite it being summer. Katie, with large bags under her eyes, looked out of place in the cafe, and I couldn't help but worry about her. However, I could only afford to worry about her for a few days. My father suddenly passed away. When my mother woke up in the morning, she found my father collapsed in the hallway, already passed away. The diagnosis was a heart attack, but the shock of suddenly losing a family member was great for both my mother and me. The thought that I could no longer talk or laugh with my father made me so sad I couldn't stop crying. Tom, who attended the funeral with me, held my shoulder and kept comforting me. When my father's body was cremated, it felt as if my heart was going to burst. My mother felt the same way, and we hugged each other, mourning the farewell to my father. During the time until my father's cremation was completed, I absent-mindedly gazed at the pond outside the venue. My phone, which was in my pocket, rang, and thinking it could be a work call, I wiped away my tears and took it out. The call was from Katie. Since my in-laws' house was close to my parents' house, my in-laws attended my father's funeral. Katie had said she couldn't come because of work, but I wondered what she wanted. Thinking she might offer her condolences, I answered the phone, and Katie called out my name, Emma, with an excited voice.
Is it true that after your father passed away, you're going to inherit $3 million?
Katie seemed to have eavesdropped on a conversation of my in-laws about me inheriting $3 million. Indeed, my father ran a company and had a significant amount of assets. While what Katie said wasn't wrong, I was shocked to receive such a call before the cremation was even finished, and all I could say was, huh. Katie must have taken that as an affirmation. I knew it, you're getting it. Katie said in a voice that sounded like a child's gleeful shout, then, I'll come over to your place next time. Have the money ready by then. And she hung up. Feeling as if my final farewell to my father was tainted, I felt sick and immediately reported it to Tom. Tom also seemed angry at Katie's insensitivity, saying, I'll call her tonight. Tom did as he promised and scolded Katie. but she was already blinded by money and not in a normal state. After the funeral had ended and things had settled down, Katie really did come to our house. As soon as she entered the house, Katie raised her voice.
If you got $3 million, you can give your cute little sister like $1 million, right? I really need the money. I don't want to be dumped by Ryan.
I couldn't help but frown at the mention of someone named Ryan coming from Katie. Katie excitedly talked about Ryan being her boyfriend and how she built $1 million house for him. Apparently, this Ryan is quite popular and has said he would demote Katie from being his girlfriend if she doesn't contribute financially. I wondered if he could even be called a boyfriend. But first, I was curious how she managed to build such an expensive mansion. How were you able to build $1 million mansion? What did you use for collateral? Even though being a nurse is a stable job, you're still young. How could you build it?
I built it to live with Ryan. We wanted a house like a castle. It became possible for Ryan's connections.
Something smells fishy about Ryan. Ryan's so-called connections also seem very suspicious. Katie, with eyes surrounded by deep bags, grabbed my arm with a gleam in her eyes. I couldn't just let this happen. As I was thinking of what to do, Tom came out from behind, who had just gotten out of the bath.
Hurry up and give me $1 million. Otherwise, Ryan's gonna dump me.
Tom approached the fussing Katie and lightly slapped her cheek, saying,
Wake up, Katie.
Ouch. What's your problem, Tom? I came to borrow money from Emma. It's none of your business.
What does this Ryan guy do for work?
Ryan is an aspiring novelist, and writing novels at home is his job.
What about part-time work? Doesn't he do any?
He doesn't. It's an investment in Ryan. I pay for everything.
That's called being a freeloader.
At Tom's words, Katie's face turned red with anger. I grabbed Katie's wrist as she swung at Tom, stopping the slap, and calmly told her, Katie, I'm sorry, but I haven't inherited $3 million.
What? Why?
My dad was indeed a CEO, but he had many failed ventures and a lot of debt. Since inheriting the debt is part of the process, I decided not to inherit the estate.
So, does that mean I won't get $1 million?
That's right. Even if I had received $3 million, I had no intention of giving it to Katie. But in reality, I hadn't received an inheritance of $3 million. Katie seemed to lose strength in her knees and slumped down at the entrance.
I told Ryan I could build him $1 million house, and that's why he hasn't left me. What am I supposed to do now?
Katie, I'm sorry, but... Katie, wrapped in a long-sleeve cardigan and a scarf despite it being summer, looked hot. When I removed Katie's scarf, there were bruises around her neck as if she had been strangled. Katie hastily covered her neck when she saw Tom's shocked expression. I squatted down to meet Katie's eyes. Katie, is Ryan being violent towards you? Being with such a man brings no good. A relationship that only holds together because of money can break at any moment. Do you have to stay with Ryan, enduring violence and exploitation? Katie bit her lip hard and shook her head. When Tom said, call Ryan right now and break up with him, Katie took out her phone. It's better to sever ties with Ryan before Katie changes her mind. Katie, with trembling hands, broke up with Ryan, who became furious, hearing him yell, What about the $1 million? I took the phone from a crying Katie and told Ryan, I'm Katie's sister-in-law. You've ruined my dear sister and even demanded money. I have a lawyer acquaintance, so rest assured, we will sue. The one who will be paying is not Katie, but you. Be prepared to pay for the harm you've caused to my sister. Ryan was still yelling on the other end, but I hung up and returned the phone to Katie. Why? Katie asked in a trembling voice, bewildered. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you're my sister, Katie." After breaking up with Ryan, Katie's complexion gradually improved. I think her illustrator job, which she had been doing as a side hustle to earn money, also started to take off, which was a positive effect. Katie decided to quit her nursing job and commit to being a freelance illustrator. Katie made the decision to value her desire to chase her dreams, even if it meant struggling without money. It seems the nursing job was very stressful for Katie, and Ryan had wormed his way into the gap left by her giving up on her dreams and continued to work in a high-stress environment. Although I lied about having a liar acquaintance, when I consulted with my editor, I was referred to a good liar. The bruises from the violence Katie suffered and the abusive voicemail messages left by Ryan on Katie's phone served as evidence, and we successfully obtained a proper settlement from Ryan. By the way, the $1 million mansion was never even planned to be built. The $1 million mansion was just a castle-like house Ryan showed Katie to make her dream, saying, "I want to live in a house like this." It turns out Ryan planned to run away after getting $1 million from Katie. Though Katie was in a disturbed mental state, she came to apologize politely for calling to ask for money during my father's funeral. She also honestly confessed that her cold attitude until now was because she was jealous of me continuing to chase my dreams. Katie thought I wouldn't forgive her, but I firmly said, "I forgive you." Indeed, what Katie did was senseless. But even by marriage, Katie and I are sisters. If I ever get into trouble in the future, Katie, please help me. I'll help you if you're in trouble too. Rather than saying I won't forgive and cutting ties, let's get along since we've become family. Let's go fruity again sometime. Last time, I ended up eating the cake and parfait all by myself. As I said this with a laugh, Katie wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and apologized with a smile, saying, "I'm sorry." As promised, Katie and I went fruity, ate cake, and had a great time talking about our dreams and Tom's overly laid-back episodes. I believe Katie and I can get along like real sisters from now on.